I think the greatest days to hunt, and I almost don't want to tell all this because I want people to leave them alone. The last couple days of the season are always the best.
Let's go!
Chris and Chris, what's up, boys?
Hey, Chris Crow.
Chris Squared.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris, love what you're doing with the show.
I freaking love the
Stuff's
show.
awesome.
God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
This is the all-new Brackett Show. Brackett Show. And now, here's Chris Brackett.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody.
It's New Year's. End of the year review. New year. Doesn't get any better than that. Cheers, brother.
All right, cheers. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. The new year. What's the new year going to bring?
That's a great question.
We're gonna,
hopefully more episodes.
Yep, we're gonna trust in it. We're gonna trust in where we're going with this bad boy, and I think it's been a great 25 episodes. This is episode 25, the Happy New Year edition. We're gonna kind of review some things. We're gonna go into how tough it is to beat somebody that doesn't quit. The last 20 days, the last 19 days of January in Illinois and across the Midwest. Even the places that are still open, these are my favorite days to hunt. I know I say that all the time, but that is what it takes to have the mentality to grind it out, to hunt big whitetails, to hunt Boone and Crockett whitetails, to hunt old, majestic ghosts that don't exist. You have to grind. You have to be built from something different to withstand not only the elements, but the mental battle, which the mental battle is the biggest strain on a whitetail hunter, and the focus that people lose focus just for a second. They shoot over them. They shoot under them. The animal ducks. They didn't stop them right. Meh. Whatever it takes that mental sharpness. How do we keep it up? Some of us are built for it. What's it say in the Bible about being built for adversity? Brothers, iron sharpening iron. That's why we do this, right?
Yeah, man. Partnering together here.
How was your year overall? It's been a real roller coaster for me.
Yeah, it's been a full year in a lot of different ways. Some really great things have happened, and some challenges too. You know, I know you've kind of faced some stuff too. I have friends who have had health problems and different things that,
Yep.
you know, we're still praying about that and what the future looks like. But it's been a full year, and, you know, I got kids that are getting older. They're still really young, but they're both in school. This is the first year that they've both been in school together. So, like, you know, stuff like that. It's been fun to see those milestones, and yeah, it's been a full year.
Been talking to my wife last night about things like what are regrets and what I would have done different in my life, and how as a man I would have changed the level of communication of trying to win, trying to win people over by being, both of us, you and I, trying to use our skills and performance to win love and approval and things like that. And I was telling my wife last night laying there that if someone would have really truly had a deep conversation with me as a young man in my 20s and told me that I got to actually pick my friends, actually pick them, that I actually had a conscious decision to feel empowered in Christ and in that surrender that said, guard your heart and make good decisions in who you're around, my life would be totally different. And if somebody would have just saved me 20 years, that's what I do on consults, is I save people time and money. Why we don't have that in everyday culture right now is me as an old man with a white beard looking at the camera, looking at so many people out there listening that are younger men that are chasing whitetails, chasing their dreams, trying to make the right decisions. Let me tell you right now that you can choose who your friends are. You can choose who to walk away from. You can choose to leave this job and go to one that's a better place for you, that's healthier, that's a better place for you spiritually, that's a better decision than going out at nights, than going with other men that are doing things that they're rooting for you, that are wanting you to win. They're wanting you to win in Christ and wanting essentially to save your soul along with you saving theirs by being brothers and brothers for Christ and knowing what that means and investigating what that means. And if I had to say a New Year's resolution or just a life resolution is to go back and talk again with a younger version of myself that said, all those people that you wasted time on, and people's like, well, I can't believe you said you're wasting your time. I'm like, no, I wasted my time by trying to change people and trying to save people where I should have let God change them and spent more time praying for them than me act and servicing and, doing acts and works to try to save people, where I should have just concentrated on me and my walk with Christ and who I was in him rather than who I was on this earth. And that's what I look back on my life and on my year with the reality of mortality with my mom passing and not having anybody left in that, mother, father situation. And then, figuring out where I fall for that. Mortality is something I think all of us wrestle with. And I was talking last night, as weird as it is, but like, I looked at my wife and I'm like, hey, if I go tomorrow, one, I'm okay and you know where I'm going. And number two, what are you dressing me in? and are you burying me or what? And she's like, you're getting buried. You're not getting cremated. I'm like, okay, what am I wearing? She's like, a flannel shirt. And I'm like, my flannel shirts aren't comfy. Dress me in camo, put a cap on me, and don't bury me without my elephant Anderson Bean boots.
Okay, yeah, you wear those a lot.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
Well, I do see that you dressed up too for this New Year's
It's about
occasion,
as dressy
right?
as I get nowadays.
You're all in all black. I talked about this in the last episode. I am wearing my tuxedo, my Canadian tuxedo. I'm all denim from head to toe. So.
Oh, Canada,
Yeah.
our true and native ways, whatever. True
Sure.
patriots love, with all our sons command, with glowing hearts we see the strive, the true north strong and free. That's to all my Canadian brothers and
Nice.
sisters.
Oh, Canada, we stand on guard
For thee.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, awesome. So, cheers to Canada. I
you know how
wore
many
the tuxedo
times-
for that.
Do you know how many times that I wish that I just had all denim like you got on right now and just rocked it? I would either feel like I'm in Shawshank Redemption
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or-
That makes sense.
or I'm hunting in Canadian Thanksgiving. I spent so many times with Ryan Harder and his family at Canadian Thanksgiving. They have their own Thanksgiving.
Sure, they do. And
Yeah.
yes,
Is it September? I think it's
I don't
September,
know.
October.
I haven't looked into it
It's
much, but I've seen
before
that, yeah.
November.
Okay.
Because somehow I'm up there. I'm like, what are we doing today for dinner? We're in camp hunting elk or moose, or I think it's moose. And all of a sudden they're like, well, we're going to my parents' house with all my family. I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, it's Canadian Thanksgiving. I love it. I pray I get to go back to like Black Bear Island Lodge this spring. I'm trying to put a little trip together maybe for a week of black bear hunting and fishing like the old days, and maybe take a group of listeners that want to book at the same time and go with DJ and Dawn and go on a black bear trip. Try to shoot me a color-phased black bear. I want to shoot me one of them chocolate ones.
Yeah. Well, you get
Like right here.
I was
There's one
going to say
right
you got
here.
a bear right there.
That one came from Black Bear Island Lodge.
Okay. I don't know if I'd asked you before. I was wondering where that
That's
bear came
Jody's.
from. Oh,
That's Jody's first bear, chocolate bear, 32 yards with a bow.
chocolate bear.
Chocolate bear, and shot it right in the heart. Went 30 yards, and I was just like, "Really? You're so spoiled." Just a 200-pound, beautiful, color-phased black bear from Black Bear Island Lodge in Saskatchewan.
Okay. Yeah.
Saskatchewan.
Yes. Yeah. That's how you pronounce it. If you're in Canada.
Or on what Grown Ups? Is that where they did it?
Oh, probably.
Hello, ladies. This is Saskatoon. Danny's standing there. He's got that high voice. This is episode 25, end of the year. Here's what I've got on my little cheat sheet here. Never give up. Last 2 weeks are the best. And why I won't give up on whitetails and why you can't beat somebody, don't give up. Deer have made it through the Orange Army, and should I shoot them now, even though they survived? And if they're on my list at the beginning of the year, are they on my list at the end of the year? I want to talk a little bit about that. End of the year review. What I would do to get ready for next year, and then like trail cameras is part of that. I deploy as many trail cameras as I can to see who survived so I can get my hopes up and go into the next year with high hopes on who survived and who made it, and keep those cameras out all through the cold winter. And you get a real sense for how many deer come into your property from far away, and you can kind of tell what you're looking at for years to come, and then really how many deer you're drawing from far away. And if you're not getting that, you're running out of food early, and then how to prepare for that. And then, one of them on social media that I've got, the last thing here in my notes is deleting people out of your life, banning them on social media, banning scantily clad women and these pop-ups and volatile stuff and things that aren't good, how deleting and banning them on social media, and, kind of having moral fencing for yourself. And then, like, some people don't agree, where when I'm doing a live and somebody has a negative comment, I block them and ban them so fast it's not even funny. And then I have other people that then message me and be like, I'm going to block and ban you. And I'm like, go for it. I want to discuss that. I want to discuss, like, what does that look like? And, like, what do you think about that? Like, I know myself, and I don't like tempting me to go crazy and speak of ill or get aggressive or whatever. Like, those are things that bother me. So if I'm going to continue to put out content in the world, I'm not like a lot of the social media people or a lot of the influencers that just go, I'm never reading my comments. More people that get mad and say stuff and people argue. I don't want that on my page. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean,
you run brands, and your thing is brands and and stuff at the studio here. How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, in general, I would rather be putting out positive things than negative. I mean, we know that, like, kind of the negative side of things sells. Like, people get engaged in that, but to what end and to what, so, like, I would prefer not to have to lean into that side of things. Whenever I'm doing stuff, I want to be helping, like, further a cause or further a message. When it comes to thinking about other content, I mean, I will say this for, like, my own personal, like, social media stuff. Like, first off, there's very little that I do as far as posting, and I'll have people who will friend request all the time that, like, I don't really know. They know of me, right? But I don't know them, and I'm like, nope, sorry. I try to avoid that, and then So you've
got your gates open early. I just let everybody in, and now I'm dealing with people everywhere.
I think that changed opinions. when I was early on, years ago, when I was touring and stuff. Yeah, and it was like anyone who wanted to be a fan, like, I wanted to just have all the people come my way, and then, like, I then just started getting rid of a bunch of people. As far as my personal, like, Facebook or Instagram, back in the day, MySpace, it was like the MySpace was a little different because it was, like, for the band, but, like, you dated yourself. MySpace. No, that's super old. I know. I'm just saying, like, years ago, that was a different situation. But yeah, there was a period of time, especially once we had kids a few years back, where I just got rid of a ton of friends.
You cleansed your whole thing.
Because it was like, I don't know these people. They don't need to know about my kids and about all this stuff. So it was like, yeah, that's kind of when I started just eliminating things and just, set up a lot of privacy things.
Here's the scenario. Yeah. Can I give you a scenario?
Please.
Of what I'm talking about? All right, here's a scenario. So my page, right, Chris Brackett Land Life, is a page that I go live every day, and I've really cut back on it. Dude, if you see a selfie, somebody has kidnapped me, because I don't really do a selfie. Right?
I don't know if I've ever seen a selfie with you.
No, I'm not really a selfie, but back in the old days when I was a different person, I was selfie, I was look at me, I was what looks good, what feels good, what shows you off. Like, I was confused. Now I'm like, if I can teach somebody something, or I can talk to, like, when I go live, I'm not doing it to go, hey, look at me. I'm doing it like I'm doing something, and I am a host of a thing where I engage you and I show you and I talk to you and I whatever. And it's fun for me. That is my hobby. That is my fun for me. But you won't just see like, hey, look at me. Like, you're not going to see that stuff from me. But a lot of times when I post things, people are unhappy with their lives and they like to hate. So then they will say something very aggressive. Yesterday I was live and a guy said something very aggressive to me. And I just went, everybody say bye to Steve. And I blocked and banned Steve, and Steve never has to worry about looking at my page or looking at anything that I do again, ever. I did him a favor. He didn't like what I said. He didn't like what I did. He didn't like the way I was saying it or something. And now Steve never has to see Chris Brackett or anything Chris Brackett again. Do you agree or disagree?
With banning someone like that?
Yep. I've done Steve a favor.
I mean, I think especially if it's your own thing, like you certainly have the right to be able to ban whoever you want. Like, I don't think that it's a voluntary thing that you're doing and no one's paying to have to see that.
I'm publicly just putting it out saying, hey, if you want to ride with me in my fun van, right? And we're going somewhere and this is what we do here on this page. And if you throw negativity or disagree with me, I don't need you to comment at all. I'm going to do it whether you comment at all, right? So like if you take that negative or you take that whatever, I just instantly like, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is I try not to live in a vacuum where like I only surround myself by people that are like-minded or would say the same things that I do. Like I try to make sure that I at least engage and experience other people's opinions and views on the world because they've had different life experiences. I could easily be too close-minded or just not see what their life is like or whatever. So like that's kind of a different thing though.
Yeah.
But if someone is coming with like, hate speech or, violent rhetoric or anything like that, like, yeah, there's no place for that. There's no reason to engage in that. But that's one of the things I've been dealing with. And then other people going, I can't believe he deleted Steve. Like, I don't like this guy because he deleted Steve. And it's like, no, I want to punch people in the face way too easily. And so I got to guard my heart. And so for me, it's just like, Steve, let's both of us do a favor and I'll just get rid of you. We'll just, right? Yeah.
Anyways, it's kind of a fun topic for me to talk about because it's where I'm at. I deal with it every day. Like, there's a lot of people on social media and a lot of people that I follow that got famous because they posted all the hate that they got to get attention, to bring attention to them, essentially. Eva Shockey, some of these other women figures have always been quick to post the, threatening stuff. Like Eva shot a big black bear in North Carolina and a bunch of people came with death threats and then they put them and then she went on like Fox News and went over and then got all this attention and now she's got millions of followers and now makes money off that. And let me just tell you, I've been getting hated on since social media started. You should have seen the news when I shot that shark that's behind me out in Newport Beach, California. They came for my throat and I just went, I didn't share it. I didn't ask for sympathy. And if these guys were going to come kill me, they can come kill me. Like I didn't use it for attention gain. And so if I've played that game my whole life and all those years of people having death threats or going through this social media kind of thing as I was famous and doing television shows and people hated and I killed animals. I was a blood sport, so people threatened our lives because we were actively killing animals and showing it on television and social media as it went through the world. And you get all these death threats. I didn't use that for social media. I never used that to get attention. And I know a lot of people that have used that to get the attention and then make money off of it. And I feel that I have at one point in my life put down that gauntlet that said, I'm not going to use that and I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm still there today, which is it's easier for me to block, ban, delete you and me never have to look at your stuff and you don't have to look at mine. And then we can just go on about our lives.
Yeah.
And I think I've been like that my whole time. I've recently dealt with that with friends. I've dealt with that with friends that I think they feel betrayed because I just kind of blocked them off social media, and they have to understand that they don't have to accept it, but they have to understand that I am influenced by the things that I see, that I allow myself to see, right? This is kind of deep. And so if they're putting out content, and because we're friends, I have a choice whether I watch it or not, right? And if I can't help but watch their content of them, let's say I've got one friend that's taken some things that I've taught him, and then he's become, the deer guy, and he's teaching all this stuff that I taught him, and that's not his job. And so it's kind of like it gives me a really dirty feeling. And it really confuses me, and it doesn't put me in a good place, and it gives me anxiety. At 47 years old, I got a choice if I watch that or not. So if I don't like this, I can put it away, right? And I think does that come with being a grumpy old man, or do you think I've just learned to navigate my life a little bit better?
I mean, I think that's certainly something that comes with age and wisdom. And what I was going to say is, if you were to build an audience, like if you were to grow your viewership or whatever based on negativity and negative comments,
right,
drama, then you're just chasing that. And so let's say numbers go down or whatever, and you're like, well, shoot, I need to drum up some more drama.
Right.
I wouldn't want that to be the model to grow something, because then what a negative place to find yourself in all the time. I feel it's a slippery slope for me. Because like I said, you would just then have to seek it out more. And I'm like, I don't want to be seeking out negativity. So
So if I guess what I'm saying is I've got to the point in my life that if I disagree, I don't follow Don Higgins anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that he says where, his switchgrass is really great to grow fast. And like his products that he sells, his miscanthus and things like that, it's great. Some of the things that he talks about not culling, he believes in the same thing I do, but he says to make your genetics better, you need to take that age class of your deer, take out the bottom non-scorers out of it. I agree with that. A lot of concepts I agree with. And then there's probably another 50% that I don't agree with, but that 50% might be 51%. And so for me, I'm like, if I want to go look at his page, I could go look at his page, but I'm not going to follow it. And I don't need it popping up randomly.
Sure.
When he says some stuff that I just go, oh, Don, you're contradicting yourself again. And you're making me mad while doing it. I can't control myself. I'm human and I'm a flawed man. But when I go ahead and go, I'm just going to not follow him. Right. But if I have a choice that I want to find out about a new Nutricrave corn and the protein, blah, 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 chlorophyll, borophyll of all this other stuff, and I want to go actively look at it, I have a choice to go look at it. But I also have a choice to go, I'm not going to follow him, because I can't control what pops up in this social media, Instagram, boom, ads. I got these naked girls and stuff, and AI things popping up on my phone, and these celebrity, dude, I have to, this is the only way that I can put up my moral fencing, is I have to be able to go in there and go click on, not report. I don't need to report it. I just have to go ban this page or
similar
I don't want to see similar content. But I had to go into my Instagram settings and go seek the stuff that popped up. I had to put on right there, boom. I had to go in and similar and ban it and block it. Otherwise, man, that stuff, that pornography and just dirty stuff will take over my phone.
Yeah.
Because I have I have 300,000 followers just on Facebook, and Instagram's 40 or 50. My algorithm, I see everything come in. So I have to wade through that. And so we may be off deer topic, but we're on life topic right now, talking about blocking and banning and making decisions of choices of what we put in our body and what we consume. I'm having a hard time with life. Life's hard, and I get to make those decisions. So if any young guys are listening out there, or old guys like me, you get to make that decision on who influences your life. And if your job is killing you and keeping you away from Christ and what you should be concentrating on and doing and makes you angry and whatever, sometimes you have to be in a season where you can cut those things out that make you angry until you're able to reposition yourself and find a more peaceful place where then you can let them back into your life by a choice.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is that if coming in here and you, because you're such a bad boy, if coming in here and you kept making me mad and I got anxious and whatever, sometimes it's okay to take a time out as a mature adult and say, this isn't good for me, and take a sabbatical until you can explore why you feel that way. And that other person doesn't have to understand. Like, let your yes be yes and, honor your word of what you say. But if you fulfilled those obligations and you say, like, this gives me a lot of anxiousness, this doesn't feel right, this whatever, I have to time out from this, and sometimes you have to push away. One of my relationships with one of my friends, my other friends, has been a 2 or 3 year very much separation. Two guys that go to church that don't talk to each other for the last couple of years, but now probably are closer than ever by setting that relationship down because it was affecting both of us. Sometimes to the point of enabling the other. But for me, it's always anger, right? Things that make me angry. If I can't handle them, sometimes I got to walk away from them, right? So I don't know why this is on my. I don't know why I went down this. Happy New Year's, jeez. But
yeah, it's
a big deal.
Yeah. Well,
some of it has to do with deer and deer buddies and deer camps. I know guys are dealing with this at the end of the year, that some guy killed a big buck and the other ones. And so maybe that's why. Maybe it's helping some deer hunting camp guys, group friends that are dealing with this.
What I would say is there's in Psalms it talks about, like, fleeing from evil and cling to what is good. Also in 2 Timothy it talks about, I'm not sure what translation this is, but flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace. 2 Timothy 2:22 through 24. So just thinking about, like, those ideas of, some of it's like when I was a child, I acted like a child, I spoke like a child, when I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. So some of it's just like growing up and learning, but also some of it is like cutting off that, like there's the, if your hand makes you sin, cut it off. Like that whole thing. Yep. If you're, if your eye, poke out your eye, if it's, leading to sinful desire. So, I mean, I think there's some biblical foundation for, like, cut off those things that are going to cause problems. So yeah,
and it doesn't mean that you can't pick up that sword again. I got a buddy that put down alcohol a year ago because he felt that led him to other places of desire and things. Knew that it wasn't a good thing for my father or his father, and things like that. And so he put that down. He's having clarity, but he's realizing, like, that's not everything. And so me personally is like, well, I don't think the alcohol is a problem. I think who you're around and in what life, that style that where you're at is the problem. Like, I feel that he could have a drink or a whatever, but that's not for me to say, but it's also not for me to promote. But where he's getting to, because he set this down, he's getting to a place of perspective. And I think that comes along with deer. I know I'm there with having a tough hunting year. I've passed up all these big deer, chasing this one or this two that don't exist and don't live on me to kill, And so soul searching stuff is sometimes putting things down that you love so much, and just setting it down for a moment of clarity in a season of clarity and a season of confusion, and I'm definitely there in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what I think? What
I
can,
need to wake up.
I was going to say it can bring some clarity. Is maybe some good coffee.
Hunting Day Coffee Company. This is the flavor of Texas. Have you tried this one yet? This is the Cattle Drive.
Okay.
This is the one that it's in the back here. You can hear the package, guys. This one has like a bourbony pecan.
Okay, I know one of them's like a Highlander grog, which I think maybe it's that one. Either that or it's the whiskey.
Well, this one's the medium roast bourbon pecan coffee, embodies rich flavors of the Lone Star State. With Land Guy and all the Texas stuff going on, somebody's got to try the medium roast bourbon pecan Cattle Drive from Hunting Day. And then I have a little whiskey Willow Reserve Hunting Day coffee. Made by hunters, for hunters, coffee. Check them out. Do you know right now that I just got sent a code earlier today that if you go to Hunting Day Coffee, and you can go to BrackettShow.com, or you can visit HuntingDayCoffee.com, and Stevie Robbins sent us our own code for tracking. I think it's a discount. I don't know. We were talking. Oh yeah, 10% discount from everybody.
Okay,
it's about time, Stevie. We should have probably done this at the beginning of the year, but better late than never.
We'll put that code out there.
Yeah, he probably laughed. Ready? Booyah 10 at huntingdaycoffee.com.
Yeah, when you put that in. Okay, yeah.
Booyah 10. BOOYAH. So
okay, I
booyah.
was like, how are you spelling booyah?
Booyah 10 at Hunting Day Coffee, and you get 10% off. Hit us with the morning wake up
Let's
call.
wake up.
Wakey.
Wake up.
Hey, good morning, Chris and Chris. This is Chris from Southern Missouri.
I love it.
Really enjoying the podcast format. I'm all up to date on all the shows you guys have put out. I'm an avid deer hunter and a musician.
Hey.
So my question today is for Chris, the producer.
That's me.
Producer Chris.
What's the largest venue or attended concert you have performed for? Thanks for everything you guys do. Keep doing it, and Happy New Year.
All right.
That's a fun one. Pressure's on you.
Pressure's on me. No, the pressure was on me when I was playing. Yeah.
You had to have opened up for somebody that was super big.
So
right? And then you played behind them, or were you front runner? Why don't you give us both answers?
Okay.
That's your challenge.
Okay.
That you were headlining.
Well,
and then one that you were playing to a big one that you were.
We played a festival in Minnesota called Sunshine Festival. And so that's probably the biggest. We played main stage for about 20,000 people.
Beautiful.
So that's probably the biggest. And then we did.
And Minnesota's fun.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff.
That was, man, I could talk forever about that, but that was a crazy tour because over a course of 3-4 days.
Did you always have one band, or was there many? Or did you go by your name, or what?
So give
us some background.
Yeah. So I did some stuff. Me and a friend of mine, when we were in college, we did more like that coffee shop, small theater sort of scene, like singer songwriter, just the two of us. And then that group, we recorded a record where we were multiple instrument. We play multiple instruments, and so when we were working on the album, we kind of stopped from just doing like 2 acoustic guitars or acoustic guitar and piano. We're like, we should add drums. We should add electric guitar. We went through like our Dylan season where we picked up the electrics.
Hey,
and so,
guy.
Yeah. And so we ended up being like, oh, now we were about to put out this record. And we're like, well, that sounds like a band. So then we put together a band. So it was kind of the same group, but like with other guys. And so I toured with that. And then I toured under Chris Zobac with a different band. But for the most part, it's all kind of the same thing. And we played. So the Minnesota thing, we had a tour bus that we came through right by my house. And this big tour bus pulls up, and we loaded that up, which was kind of wild. And then went up to Minnesota. We drove through the night. and then we got there early in the morning. And we did they do sound checks. When you do like a festival, there's like what's called a backline, which is the back side of the stage is like all the amplifiers and different equipment that you're going to use. So you go in and you set all your levels up front because there's, maybe 20 other artists before you. You need to make sure that they have all your stuff dialed in, what equipment you're using, what your settings are. And so we do that, and then we kind of sit throughout the rest of the day. So we did that, and then we play our set. We finish, run off the stage, hop on the bus, drive through the night, then played a show the following evening at a totally different area, several states away. Then we finished that late at night. We did like a radio thing. There's and so it was like this big event. Hop on the bus, go back to that festival in Minnesota the next day to play a different stage. So we were not the last artist on the main stage. We were kind of in the middle.
Oh, because the festival is several days?
It's several days, several different stages, like a bunch of stages. It's one of the largest festivals. And so then we were like headlining a different stage. So we went up. So like one was like with like there were a bunch of other major artists, and so it was great to be on the main stage, but then there was a side stage. So we go up. So then we do that. And we do like an autograph signing session. Then we hop on the bus again, and then we travel like overnight to another place. So like by the end of those like 3 days. Yeah. Oh, and my buddy Patrick, his first child had just been born. So like this happens before we go on this little thing, and that was when like I knew like I don't know how much longer the band is going to stay together because like he just had a kid and like didn't get to see her, and it was like it was crazy.
Rockstar lifestyle.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a long story to say. I think 20,000. I mean that's an approximate, but
and then when you were doing by yourself, when I was like just 5,000-ish.
I don't know. I mean it depends. Like we did a release concert. It might have been a few thousand, but I mean I'll be honest. Like I've played for like. Well, I've played 2 shows where literally the only person there was the promoter
and your mom in the corner.
No, not even that. we did a thing up in Wisconsin, and the promoter just wasn't thinking. And it was like a holiday weekend or something. Where it was like a college town, and but everyone was gone, and like so there was no one there to come.
There was nobody there, even in the
town, like in the city or whatever.
Yep.
So anyway, I've played for like literally nobody. We still did the show. We're like, hey, we're here. We're just gonna do it.
You just play music.
Yeah, and then I I've been able to play for some bigger stuff. And yeah, as part of other things, producing other artists and stuff.
Now, did you always do Christian music, or like if somebody was to look you up right now?
Yeah, I would say Christian music.
How would they spell it? Where would they find it?
So there's a band called 2 Cent Offering, like TWO Cent CENT, 2 Cent Offering, and then before that. This is really creative, but we had a group called Acoustic Duo. So that was when I was doing like more singer-songwriter stuff. And
where would I look that up?
If you go to, I don't know.
You go to Spotify?
Or Spotify, yeah. You can go to Spotify.
Can we just type in your name as an artist? And
yeah, there's some stuff out there. Chris Zobac or what?
How do you spell like Zobac?
Zobac.
Okay.
I will say, so I produced and perform on a song that has not been released yet. It's not under my name, but it's under Grace Worship, and that'll probably release early next year. Recorded that just a few weeks ago. I'm really proud of it. So anyway, I don't know if we get a chance
to write a redneck hunting song by next year.
Yes. So I've actually done a ton of different types of music.
Now you know all the lingo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can. I don't know. Well, I'll think of something. that we can write a song about. But anyway, yeah. Hey, Chris in Missouri.
Fun.
Thanks for the question. It's not usual that people are calling to ask me a question.
It's the end of the year,
so, man. Yeah, I thought I finish off the year by me actually answering a question. So
that's fun.
Anyway, yep. So it is the new year. Yep. And well, it's almost the new year, right?
Yep.
And we had talked about this in the last episode. We don't know exactly what the future is going to hold. So, let us know if you're liking the show and if you want to help support and make it continue on, we would love that. But regardless, it's been great, and are thankful for the opportunities that we've had, and
everything that we do is on brackettshow.com.
Yeah.
If you are a part and you are a sponsor, or if you are just somebody that wants to get involved, small, monetary, whatever, we can put your business on the website. We have over 500,000 on social, and we hit hundreds of thousands of people that are listening on Spotify and on YouTube, watching on YouTube and all the other platforms. And we just appreciate all of you. And yeah, check it all out at brackettshow.com. Listen, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guys down at Mike and his wife at Cantrell Taxidermy. They're in Springfield, Illinois. That's Cantrell Taxidermy. They're on brackettshow.com. I'm wearing their hat, nice little crispy lid right here. And I put something on Facebook the other day that was like, I picked 3 of my favorite mounts, like a semi-upright, a semi-sneak, and a wall pedestal, and then like a couple different color hats. Of course, I picked the black cap. And I don't know if you get those when you drop off your deer or not, but I know my favorite that I picked out of the 3, I had them take 3 pictures I put on social. A wall pedestal mount is one of my favorite mounts for a big buck of any caliber. And be proud when you take your animal to a taxidermist. He does great work. Mike does great work down there. And then I'm hoping that Jody still fills her bobcat tag, and we can get a bobcat full life-size
You've been running
mounted.
around on your property.
I got 3 bobbies running around, and he does coyotes and all kinds of fun stuff. Give him a shout out. But I like that wall pedestal, man, and I like that black hat that I'm wearing all the time. It's my dress up hat. It's my redneck dress up hat.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
Big shout out to them. Appreciate them. And we have white gold. You can find white gold. They have I think through the end of the year, I think they're having a discount code. Either way, I know it's a great time to buy Clover Rush. The Clover Rush is the blend that I use when I talk about more about frost seeding on the social media and in upcoming events. But now is the time to buy the white gold Clover Rush. 6 or 7 years you can get out of one bag on a food plot. One bag, 5 pounds, does a half acre. You can frost seed it into really any kind of prepared ground or unprepared ground, and then you can kill off the grasses with clethodim, butyrate, and imox, and you can have a beautiful clover plot. Even if you wanted to put clover in the back of your yard just to help with the rabbits and wildlife, whatever, just frost seed it in February and March, and that clover will come up, and then you can terminate the grass, and you'll have a great clover plot for all kinds of critters, even in your yard. Also, I know guys are thinking about switchgrass for thermal cover and for bedding and borders and making soft edges. I have a blend out there called Fort Knox. You can find it at the website, again, on brackettshow.com, BRACKETT show.com, and you can go buy Fort Knox, and one bag does 1 acre, and I would recommend planting it at about 4 to 6 pounds per acre. And there's lots of strategies in consulting on online consults and boots on the ground that I can walk you through how to plant it, and what strategies and things that you need to go through to kind of utilize it in the best way. I like dirty switch. I like having weeds and goldenrod and fescue grasses grow up in my switchgrass for bedding. I like monocultures where it's just switchgrass for my edges, my soft edges that I like to do, and to use it in correlation with my miscanthus grass for like borders and stuff, where you can kind of sneak behind and get into make your property more secure. So there's all kinds of strategies and ways, and boots on the ground consults, I'm booking them right now. I only do a limited amount of them and fit them in. We also have had a lot of requests for the online consults. We did a sale there for a little bit where we booked a bunch of them, and then I'm wide open on the online consults in the morning and then hunting in the evening, which is like a Skype phone call on the computer where I screen share and walk through different pictures and how to teach people how to do whatever. It's pretty much like having your own hour-long, session that you can buy by the hour to have in the Brackett Show, where you get to ask me questions, and people don't have to call in like they do on this show, which is you can call into the landline, which is 309-761-5263, 309-761-5263. Even as the show prepares, we will prepares our new season, we will store these questions, and as we get going in the beginning of the year, as we figure out what we're going to do on season 2 and who our partners are going to be in the collaboration going forward, and how much we get to add in the field content and things like that, we will store those, and then we'll be able to, play those questions just like we're going to play this one now.
Yeah.
So, all right, so go ahead and hit me with a caller. This is somebody just called in on the landline, and we're gonna dive in.
Hey, Chris, this is Ellis from Georgia. I was as soon as I buy some land one day, I'm going to hire you to do a consult.
Buddy.
But
I wonder if it's going to be
my
in Georgia.
I know this is a land life, but my question is about booking with outfitters.
Okay.
Me and my buddy just went on one to Iowa, pretty big name outfitter, SOE Hunts, and I can deal with not killing deer, but when you're promised that they've got food and standing beans, standing corn and food plots, and in 4 days you don't ever see any. I guess my question is, how I've been to several outfitters, some good, some bad. How do you make sure these people are honest, I guess, other than looking at reviews before you book with them and just completely throw your money away?
Yeah.
Thank you. Love the show.
Well, here's what I got to say. Okay, I have been to outfitters my entire life. I have been to outfitters that, very much favored me, that they're like, well, we're going to put you in this farm, you're going to do your thing, whatever. So I'm going to walk you through how I went through it, like even being a TV celebrity and whatnot. There was places that I went that didn't know my skill set and didn't know my level. Beginning of my career, there was a lot of places that when they first start out, they have a lot of little honey holes, but as they start getting paid, they start gathering more land, which means more land. Normally the quality is down because they're trying to, get more land and whatnot. And so it gets a little weird because you kind of get into a cycle and into a trap where, you had 10 people to start out, and first you did it just as a side gig, and then you're like, I could make a living at this. So a guy will quit his job, and then he's running people, and the quality goes down. And outfitting is a very tough game to, get a quality experience. Realize that there's some people, and I think outfitters like to have these people because they don't have to do a lot. I know some of them do, in my opinion. They get a lot of people that are looking just to get away from their wives with their buddies and get drunk and sleep in the morning, and that happens a lot in camps. I've seen it my whole life. Now, we also have a point where there is a guy like yourself that's looking to go and has to draw a point in Iowa, to be frankly, and wait and spend the money and go there. And, a place like Iowa, you may have all this food and you may have all this stuff, but there's a lot of deer that are in that 4 to 5 year old category that are 140 to 155 inch deer. And, they're pretty easy to get on that type of deer in Iowa. If you weren't seeing that type of deer, two things happened. I know Iowa got hit with a lot of EHD. But that's no excuse for not having a good experience. Or if you didn't have a really good hunt, it's all about communication. I would communicate with that guy and say, listen, I realize that weather is one thing you can't control. But if you didn't even, or EHD or disease or whatever, but if you didn't even get in the ball game to swing the bat, that's on the outfitter. I'd be calling the outfitter getting either an extra days to hunt, get to come back when maybe the weather's better or whatever, or getting a half price hunt on returning. Because you're essentially buying a opportunity. But if they're the ones that are putting you into stands with the wrong wind, or they're not suggesting sit out until the weather's right and get in, there's a lot of things that go into it. But the number one recommendation, if I just had to answer the question straight up without going all over the place, here's the answer. You have to do your due diligence in having lots of conversations with that outfitter. If that outfitter is on the up and up, then he loves having intelligent, good conversations with you prior to booking, that you are laying it all on the table, and he knows that he knows your skill set. So take me, for example, I'm probably 90% success rate at hunting outfitters. And if I told that to the world would say, well, they just took care of you because you were a TV personality. Fair. But I also am a world-class strategist and an archer, so I'm going to get the opportunity done. I'm also a really good woodsman. I'm going to get that opportunity normally a little faster than the average guy that maybe works at the steel mill or works at a selling cars or works at a factory. Or runs a company. I'm in it, doing it every day. They're going to put me in a higher pressure situation normally, and I will be able to use my skill set and capitalize. Now, yourself down in Georgia, you guys down there are flat out killers. I won't hunt Georgia because you guys are flat out killers, and deer don't make it old enough a lot of times in Georgia, which is why you're coming to the Midwest. So, you have to explain to this gentleman that, like, if he just tells you to stay out in the mornings and you're hunting only the evenings and food sources or whatever, I think a lot of it comes down to vetting the outfitter by lots of communication and him knowing your skill set where he can put you in the best situation to capitalize. But what I see is most people that go to an outfitter, one, they don't communicate and vet them enough. They look at lots of pictures. If you're going to Iowa, man, you're putting in for your, and this isn't bad mouthing them at all. My recommendation is, if my butt's going to Iowa to hunt in November, like Jared and Jeremy from Hunter Podcast, they drove out in the summer and they went and got hands-on that ground that they hunted. If I'm going to go buy a hunt in Iowa, I'm not going to let the outfitter do all the work. I'm going to either go out early, help run cameras, get to know the guy I'm paying frickin' money to, so I can have more of an impact in my future and make my opportunity and make my luck. And if the outfitter isn't willing to let you come out and see the operation in July, probably the wrong guy. Probably the wrong guy. If you're spending $5,000 to go hunt, Chris, you can spend $300 on an airplane ticket to fly into Des Moines, another $150 to rent a car and stay at that outfitter and help them put in a food plot in October.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I did. When I hunted outfitters, I would go up days early. I would go in the summer. I would run cameras, and I was favored. Not because I was on TV, but because I have work ethic that will rival the Amish. I've got a whitetail intelligent level because I hunt them every single day, that they want information from me and how I hunt so we can set up. So normally what would happen is I would roll into, let's say, Montana, and I had a guide, Levi, and Levi would, for 2 days, he would guide me on sets that he had set up. Normally I would see deer, but I couldn't get them killed the first 2 days. And about day 3, I would look at my my guide and I would say, now that I haven't guided the guide, can I start tweaking the way I want to hunt? And normally 100% of the time they would say, 60% of the time it works every time. Like,
yes,
I would say, can I can you cut me loose here and I can go navigate this river and see where they're crossing, and then we'll come back and hang this stand. And normally I would put my little tweaks to it the way I wanted to hunt, and we would capitalize by the end of the hunt. It's a lot of times why you see on television somebody kill on day 7 on a 7-day hunt on the last day, because it's normally taken 2 or 3 days to get to know the outfitter. And it's taken 2 or 3 days to dial in once the outfitter lets you kind of do stuff. And get dialed in and get close, and then by day 7, normally you have a pretty good opportunity. What the worst thing is, and a lot of outfitters deal with it is, and this is siding with the outfitter, is, let's take my friend Brad from Killing Buck Outfitters. He's one of the best deer outfitters I know at good quality bucks in Ohio. Doesn't even have a website, doesn't advertise, and I had more opportunities with him at good deer, but he battles people that are idiots that are his clients. He can't keep them out of the woods from wanting to hunt in October in the mornings. And he's like, just stop. You have a better success. Don't guide the guide to only hunt these deer in the afternoon, but go in at 11 o'clock in the morning and sit there. His hardest part of being a good outfitter is battling the people that think they know and they're going to guide the guide. And if I'm paying for a 7-day hunt, dang it, I'm hunting 7 mornings too. When only they should only be hunting evenings over food plots and corn piles, but they're ruining they're their own thing. Now, I'm sure this isn't the case for our friend from Georgia, but realize what these outfitters are dealing with. They're dealing with those type people. And then somebody from Georgia comes up that's a real hunter that's in it, and he's not looking to guide the guide, but that guide or that outfitter is just fit to be tied with the drama of prior to. And it's kind of both ways. So the biggest thing that I can tell you if I'm booking a hunt, if that outfitter won't let me come visit in June or July and do some prep work and blood, sweat, and tears, which should be part of it, I wouldn't go to him. You can't trust him. If he's hiding something, and I get it. Like you like black bear on the lodge for black bears. I'm sure they'll be booked up, but that's the greatest experience that you can have with your clothes on. For bears and fish and shore lunch, and I trust DJ and Dawn, and I trust my guides up there. You have places, I don't know, man. Like, I've been so many places that one of the top 5 questions I get is, hey, what's a good outfit in Illinois? And I'll tell you what, there's great outfitters. All outfitters have great ground, but not all outfitters will put anyone in any situation. They will put the best hunter with the highest skill set in the game in the bottom of the 9th and the 7th game of the World Series. And other than that, there's a lot of people that want to guide the guide and want to be pompous and want to do whatever, and they wear out the outfitters, and they'll put them in spots that they're going to see a deer, but probably not kill them. So you just got to kind of do your deal and communicate. And if they are shady, go on to the next one.
Yeah. This is sort of a related question.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, this is Tyler, the chiropractor from Oklahoma. Love the show. So when I'm a beginning bow hunter, I've been hunting for 20 years, but I've been bow hunting for 2 years.
Okay.
And I remember watching the Outdoor Channel all the time when I was younger, and I'd see these people kill these giants on here, and I was thinking, like, man, how are they doing this? How are they doing this? Well, last week I was watching a podcast. I'm not going to mention who it was, and he said that he went to Mexico, this place called La Boda. So I got online and I looked up what this place was, and it was like $20,000 to kill a booner.
Yep.
And the guy went there and he killed 2 of them. So I sent an email. Oh, by the way, he said he's going back in late season. So I sent an email to La Boda and I said, hey, how does this work? Like, do you guys just, do I pay a deposit, and do you guys do monthly plans? Like, how does this work? And they said, well, currently we're not having anybody else come, the general public come, because
We're booked up.
They already have names on the deer of who they're going to be killed by. And I told him who sent me because I watched the podcast, and he said, this guy's already claimed another deer, and we have a 300 wait list, and we're thinking about doing a draw. And it just kind of, I don't know why that bummed me out so much, but I just kind of want you to talk on that. And I don't know, because I'm killing pretty decent deer here. I killed a 140 and a 150 in a part of Oklahoma that doesn't kill good deer like that. But I don't know. I just always thought when I was younger, you know, just seeing these guys always killing these deer. And I'm not saying that I'm not happy when I walk up to my buck or anything, but I don't know. I'm just looking for more. So I'm trying to expand out, and I just want to know, how do people kill deer all the time that are booners all the time? So I'm trying to travel more so I can get more opportunities, but just I'd like for you to talk on that. Thanks, Chris.
Well, the glory days are over. So whoever has the most money wins. How do you live in $1 million mansions all over the country? One in Hawaii, one in North Carolina, one in Illinois. How do you do it, Chris?
Yeah, to clarify, I don't do it.
How do you do it?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
You either got to lease it,
yeah,
rent it, or buy it.
You
lease it,
rent
rent it,
money,
or buy it. You got to have the money. How do I kill booners? All right. I have an incredible lease that I pay a lot of money for. The 2 other properties I hunt, I manage for a friend that hunts with me on my lease, right? So he hunts my lease, I hunt his property, and then I have a farm that's my own that I spend $15,000 every year to grow food and habitat, and I give up my crops for the deer and the habitat. So I'm paying. So when everybody goes like, oh, you got your own land. Oh, you're spoiled. Well, I work to buy my land. I work to do that. So I'm spending, I killed a 140 deer this year that was 6 years old on my own farm that I have so far paid this year probably $10,500 to kill that deer. That's just on my own land. That's not including my payments a year, which would be, that farm's worth $1 million, let's say $1 million, probably worth $1.3 million with the house, whatever. My mortgage rate, I was smart enough to lock in at 4% So I pay right now about $50,000 a year in payments. So right now, $60,000 to shoot a 6.5-year-old deer in Illinois on my own farm. That's how you do it, right? So that's one farm. Now, is that a good investment? It's a good investment. 4% on my farm?
Sure.
Just looking at inflation, it's already going up faster than my interest.
Yeah.
So it's a good move. One, no real estate. All right. So I got it at a good interest rate. I'm putting it in there. 60 acres was left to my wife, and so I added on to it. And so I'm in a really good position there. That's a good place to put money. That's number one. Number two, outfitters. So with the new trend, so take it back to the 90s. 90s, there were more big deer. Outfitters were just showing up. There wasn't as many hunters. You could go get into an outfitter and you could shoot a really nice deer, or, you could just be kind of put in the pot and you would hunt all these different places. The outfitting was really different. It didn't have as much social media, didn't have as much presence. There were people that didn't even have websites that were outfitters. And so you kind of got all that stuff. But now we're going to just look at 2024. In 2024, if a cell camera or a camera is on a piece of property that gets a picture taken of X amount of inches of antler of this deer, and that guy can post that deer on the website, we're living a day and age where somebody can make a phone call and say, oh my gosh, how much to hunt that deer?
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, well, I can't guarantee you're going to shoot it. And he goes, well, how much is it to lock down that whole farm? Wherever that deer's range is, I want to hunt that deer. And that guy goes, well, I pay $10,000 for that lease. And that guy goes, I'll pay you $20,000 to rent a room, and I want that whole farm to myself for the year till I kill that deer. We know people that spend $20,000 like it's water. Do you know people like that? Yes, I do too.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
might
around.
be for different things.
They're around. They're around. Some people will go rent a house all winter, right? And pay stupid money, but they don't want to deal with, right? They don't want to deal with the upkeep. They don't want a mortgage, but they'll go expense through their business or through their whatever. Might be a musician that goes there and writes songs and hangs out with his family all winter. He made a choice in his life to go pay a bunch of money to do what he loved, and that's how. The problem is it's gone into deer hunting. Texas, you're looking at low fence, high fence, whatever they want to call it. Even on a low fence, even in Texas, where they're feeding the deer don't leave. Not 5,000 acre ranches, and they know where the deer live, and they keep them captive. And in Texas, you can let out deer into your high fence organizations or areas that grow the super genetics and whatever. But at the end of the day, man, if you want to kill a really big deer, it's capitalism at its finest. But it's just what's happened to America and just blending over into deer hunting is all it is. Like, do you know how many questions I get every time I post a video? So I did a video on Facebook yesterday evening that's done 50,000 people by midnight had watched it. And I had people say, hey man, how much to come hunt with you? How much to come hunt your deer? So a 3-year-old deer rolls down through there last night. Okay. Right now we are at, ready for this number? 55,000 people have seen this. I've made $9.84 by that post. And 54,000 people have seen that. And I had people asking me, can I come hunt your property to hunt that deer? And I'm just a show host that manages land, and somebody will pay me. So if I said, okay, $5,000, you can come kill a deer off my property, now I become an outfitter. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, if I get more ground, I can charge a bunch of people $5,000 and they can kill a bunch of deer. But one day I run out of deer, because if I give you an opportunity to shoot that deer and you wound that deer, now you still want to take home a deer. So then you want to. So at the end of the day, you have to decide what your joy is. If you're killing 145-inch deer in Oklahoma, I would suggest figuring out what you want to do with your life and what deer means to you, and then being able to hunt. So being able to hunt other states is still something that you can do, but realize that just coming to the Midwest and being overrun with all kinds of people now from all kinds of different states, the average deer killed is a 3.5-year-old animal. Even if the deer scores 150 or scores 110, it's a 3.5-year-old trophy to people in Georgia, people in Oklahoma, people in Pennsylvania, people in New York. You're shooting 130 deer and calling them 145s, 150. My buddy Grant just shot a buck, and he's from South Carolina, and he plays for Atlanta, and he's a great pitcher for the Braves, and he just shot his dream buck, and he scores it, and it's missing a brow. It's an old deer, and it's got long main beams, but it's missing a tine, and it's got good mass, and it's like 5 or 6 year old deer, and he's like, man, dude, I just scored this deer. And he's like in the high 30s. And I go, yeah, it's 140-something inch deer. And he's like, I thought it was way bigger than that. And I'm like, well, yeah, and so does the world. So does the TV world, and so does the podcast world, and so does the social media world. Look at the pictures everybody's taking. If somebody's holding on to a deer with one hand, subtract 15 inches. If somebody's sitting way, way back on a deer, they got problems. Make deer hunting pictures great again. It's almost to the point where it's ridiculous. And this guy's question was, is this really going on? And yes, this is really going on. And whoever has the most money wins the game when it comes to deer. And it's just capitalism. Would you agree that that's the best terminology for it from what you're understanding from an outsider that doesn't hunt looking in, Chris?
Yeah, well, and some of it's supply and demand too, and if someone's willing to pay something, then you can charge whatever you want if someone's going to pay it. And if you've got a supply that's dwindling for whatever the reasons,
Yep.
right? EHD or just over hunting or, government influence, whatever it is.
Yep.
There's only so many deer out there. So.
But just take fish, for example. If you and I had a pond like I have out at my farm that I built and I stocked it full of fish, if I would have paid, let's say $5,000 and I put in these super bass and we fed them every day goldfish and we had your kids out, we fed them minnows and we fed them protein balls and all this stuff, and we got these bass to 8 to 10 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Which they do in Texas. And the fish have never been caught. They've never been touched. They've just been fed. And a guy wants to take a picture with a 10-pound bass or an 8-pound bass because that's his goal in life. He can come out and stay and pay me 10 grand, whatever I make money on, and I'll let him catch that fish. And he catches that fish and he mounts that fish, and I do that over and over again, but that's how I make my living. Is that wrong? I don't know. We don't have to agree with it. That's part of the block that I was talking about earlier, which is like, if that guy's doing that, I'll just block that page. I won't believe it. I just think the world is that stupid that they believe Tink 69 works. And that's my opinion. It's a lot of times it's just sodium benzenol and scent killer spray. And a lot of times I don't know what kind of urine is in Tink 69. But for me, does it work? In my opinion, no. But I think people believe in it. I can't tell them that it doesn't. Code Blue and all these other scents. I don't know if it works. I know that human contamination is more detrimental to deer scent, like putting it out. Actually, human going out there to put out a scent is more detrimental to the influx than anything else. And so when it comes to outfitting, when it comes to going to an outfitter or going to a hunt or going to a whatever, the good old days are over, and you got to save up to go and hunt. Now, the only place that I know of in the world that you can save up, but you may make the mistake as our Georgia guy, is you can save up because Iowa does it right. Illinois doesn't do it right. Ohio doesn't do it right. But Iowa, it takes 5 years to draw a bow tag in Iowa in most of the zones. And so the only way to have a great hunt is to start putting in for Iowa points. The same way with elk. I can go to the Vermejo Ranch where I've hunted at Ted Turner's ranch and pay $21,000 to $25,000 and hunt 300-inch bulls, and I will have an opportunity at a 300-inch bull. But for $20-something thousand, but I'm eating filet mignon, and I'm staying in a great place, and so you got to kind of figure out what it is for you. And I think in 2024, you better be listening to me when I tell you the good old days are over, and the deer are not going to get 5 years old anymore unless they're let out of a pen or raised on a farm, and you're going to have to pay big bucks if you do, because there's too many people that are making too much money on buying the opportunity to kill that big giant deer. It's Spook Span talks about it on Hunter Podcast. He talks about it. He talks about how he has set out $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year to go hunt these particular bucks, and he's been doing it for 15 or 20 years. And he goes, if you have a big buck, I'll make you a deal. It may cost me $3,000, it may cost me $10,000, but I'm going to buy the opportunity to hunt. That's it. It comes down to it. It's just money.
Yeah.
Just money.
Hey, as we're kind of finishing up, I want to do one more question we've had thus far one female caller. She called again. So I figure let's see what she has to say.
Sweet.
Hey, Chris and Chris, Stephanie again from South Carolina. Having a really hard time because here in South Carolina, we've had some frost, we've had some cold weather, but of course we still have green everywhere.
They're dealing with the same
so
stuff
we have
we are.
Some beautiful food plots, but
I'll bet it's
just not
bright
using
green.
them really heavy right now. So what would be your recommendation? We don't want to go into the timber. We don't want to push anything. But also we got to go where it's green. So just trying to balance, like, staying out of their home and their bedding, but also getting close enough to try to daylight them. That's one of the biggest issues, is that we're not daylighting these deer, because they are continuing to hang out in the timber and the creeks and whatnot, eating the green that's naturally there. And just one more question. We have a lot of bordering property that has zero pressure. Nobody's ever on it. I'm talking hundreds of acres. So do you have any recommendation for how to lure those deer in? Because, of course, the big mature deer that want to be left alone, they're just going to go hang out and not talk to anybody and not be around anybody and stay on the vacant land. But what would be your recommendation in trying to get them to come back on over and hang out with us a little more? That's all. One day I will, for sure, have a consult. I just got to
South Carolina. Carolina
However,
barbecue.
Thank you for what you guys do. See ya.
Appreciate it. You're dealing with the same thing we are. I mean, what I think you're going to find, and if I had to find, so I think what we're doing is trying to find a little bit of hope for Stephanie. We're trying to find a little bit of hope for all of us. And I know that 85% of all hunters, Chris, are going to give up by now.
Yeah, I mean, we're so far into the
so
season.
far along. Yeah. We're done with 2024. You may have a few days. I think the greatest days to hunt, and I almost don't want to tell all this because I want people to leave them alone. Brings me to my last couple subjects, which was the last couple days of the season are always the best. These deer are normally in this, everybody hasn't been out here. Oh, everybody's been at Christmas. Oh, everybody's been at New Year's. Oh, they're duck hunting. They're at the beach with family. They've kind of taken the pressure off. And so I would just stay in the game and just hunt the way you've been hunting and just try to catch a glimpse of them. You're doing the right thing. And at worst, you're going to have that much more mature animals going into next year that are going to be that more healthy. That's the silver lining. But the first one is just don't give up as we get into the last few days of the season. I watch more people not go out the last few days of the season. As it warms up and fluctuates or whatever, the deer normally let their guard down because they're not getting any pressure. So I've seen some of the biggest deer get killed in the last couple of days because they just let their guard down. So I just try to lay eyes on them, even if it's out there from a distance. I don't know if your gun season's still in or it's just bow season or what, but you should get really consistent winds as this. If we get these north winds, you should just get these little cold snaps. Watch for that warm up with the wind switch out of the south. Stick to the regiment that I've been teaching. And on the how do I get them out? Well, I don't know about South Carolina with their feed or bait state, type stuff. I think South Carolina is a feed state. If it is, you can try to feed something a little bit better than the neighbors, which is like roasted soybeans, sunflowers, and like a coated corn that you could put some type of flavoring or coating onto and create your own concoction. You heard me talk about Brad Snow from Killin' Buck Outfitters. He's got a KBO Crunch that he's been feeding. I know I don't have one to send you. I do know that there is a brand out there that Ray Reeves from Genesis Wildlife Group at Lock and Load Sporting Goods. I know that he has one that he promotes. I forget what it is, but it's a really good one. You're just going to want to feed something that's a little bit better. Like you could get producer Chris's attention if you were doing the apple pie in the brown bag. You could get him out of your timber to come eat that. instead of just a regular apple pie. So you're going to want to feed something that's a little bit different. And remember, these guys will start coming to more of a mineral and more of a, they're going to want to start putting it into their bones and into their health. So just try something new, try something different if you can feed. Other than that, it's just about sticking to the regiment and, kind of leaving them alone. But that brings us back to never give up. The last 2 weeks of the season are the best. I am going to concentrate on beans for the last 2 weeks of the season. And every year after Christmas and around the 1st of January, I will get bucks doing really, really, really dumb stuff. And it doesn't have to do that it doesn't have to do with them getting so hungry that they have to eat or they die. Not that kind of feeding. That's a different kind of light switch that happens when you get 2 foot of snow and sub-zero temperatures every day, relentlessly beating them to death till they have to eat. Not that. More on a warm up, and they just let their guard down while they're kind of sniffing for does, and they just feel good. It's like an old man's body like mine that's beat up from traveling and falling out of tree stands and getting in car accidents. My joints hurt or whatever, and you get that one little warm-up day, and you just like, baby, you want to take a walk? And I take my wife for a walk, and we just kind of just hang out and go outside and pick up sticks and light a fire. It's just kind of that feeling, and that's what happens in these bucks with the last 19 days of the season from now until the end of the season. I think it's the 19th and that Sunday in January. But you're looking for those deer just to kind of chill and just kind of chill and lighten up their perspective and take a walk. And that's what we're going to concentrate on. And, it's kind of a scenario where I was talking about earlier. Trail cameras, deploy them to see who survived. The greatest thing that you can do is go find these after the season sales, go find these Tasco cameras and these really cheap cameras, set them on video mode, put a big card in them, and just deploy them all over your woods. Take your kids out as you get a nice New Year's break here on a weekend. Go deploy all kinds of cameras in really weird places and document when deer are losing their shed antlers, and document these last couple weeks of the antler carrying, headed to food. This is what's really going to tell you in the woods and validate how many deer your woods is holding and what's going on. And you can go pick them up in March and April and go back, and you're going to see a lot of deer that survived, and it's going to tell you really what your property holds later on the season, which is going to give you more oomph going into the 2025 late season. And that's what keeps me going, is I know what shows up the last 19 days of the season because I have all those cameras out there. Most people on the planet have pulled all their cell cameras and shut their plans off of. I'm not talking about cell stuff, Chris. I'm talking about $40, $50 Tasco cameras that you just set in the woods that don't have good quality, but they tell you if a Bigfoot or if a big buck walks in front of it, and that documents it. And then you can go to the lowdown and download all those pictures. But also, I have buddies that say the deer have made it through the Orange Army. They've made it through the whole gauntlet, and they right now are like, well, I'm going to let them live. I talked to my buddy Jared, and I talked to some other people, and they're like, well, they've made it through all the season. Why would I kill them now? And here's why. If those deer were on your list at the beginning of the year for you to hunt, and they're not now, then your list wasn't picky enough early in the year. I do not stray from the beginning of the year to the end of the year of the same deer that I'm hunting the whole year and the whole caliber. And I think right now, as you go into this, my friends are saying, well, they survived. I'm going to try to get them to another year. Yeah, but that deer may not live on you. He may only live on you in late season. So I implore you to kind of investigate. If you're saying that your desires change from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I really employ you to just dive into why you're hunting trophy animals or big deer and how your goals change from October till January. To me, they never change. It doesn't matter what weapon. Doesn't matter what deer, they don't change from here to there. So that's an interesting one that I've been pondering with my friends and what they're doing. And my year in review, my lowdown year in review, brought to you by Lowdown High-Speed Viewers. It's a 9-inch HD colored touchscreen. This is the Lowdown High-Speed Trail Camera Viewer. And this is a little tablet that you carry with you in your Polaris or your truck, and you can put in an SD card and transfer all your good pictures, all your pictures that you've hand-picked, and put them onto a holding SD card that's bigger than your standard SD card. And then it's just really handy to have. You can hook it up. And if you guys want to check out the Lowdown High-Speed Trail Camera Viewer, SD card viewer, go to BrackettShow.com. And you can check out all the goodies, all the sponsors, all the stuff that we're doing, information on consults online and otherwise. And the year in review, getting ready for next year, is just be thinking about where you're going to frost seed clover, where do you want greens, start making informational dives into how many soybeans you're going to need to have a hard crop. Are your neighbors doing corn or beans next year? That's going to affect where you plant corn and beans. Be thinking about how I should take down my tree stands to make sure that there is maintenance. We're going to have some warm days at the end of the year. Another great scouting tip after the deer season, most small game seasons are after the deer season is over. So I will normally take my nephews and new hunters and go rabbit hunting and squirrel hunting a couple times to investigate, maybe find some sheds, maybe find some dead deer. And it's a great time to get out in the woods and explore and get cold and find those trails and those sources and those locust pods. And the deer are normally have given up by then, and so they just kind of move around the timber and you can get your eyes on them. Don't be scared to invade your timber after the deer season, and get in there and do a little bit of small game hunting and bring back that woodsmanship and that tradition. And that is really what this is all about, is whitetails, land, and life. Brackett Show. Those are my recommendations. And if you need help, I'm here to help. Not only do I do speaking engagements where, let's say there's a sporting goods place or a oil change place or a restaurant or something, and somebody wants to hire me to come there. It's no different than my $5,500 consult, base price consult. I can come there. I got one where I think we're looking at in Michigan. I'm going to Michigan to do some consults, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Ohio, let alone Illinois. But in Michigan, I had a guy call and he's like, "Hey, we want to get a group together of however many guys, and it's the same price as a consult. I'm coming there for the afternoon to teach them and go through and teach a lot of people that can't afford a consult by themselves, but to have a class where they can sit down, ask real questions, and get guided on how to plant switchgrass, how to plant food plots, how to, look at deer and study them rather than have to kill them, and kind of change the quality in that area by just having education. It's been plenty worth it for some of these individuals to group up, pay me to come, and then have a class, and really looking into that, really excited about that. And what the next year is going to bring as we get some more partners to help fund this bad boy, and then how much more we can, build in content. And I'm excited about the future.
Yeah. So, once again, thank you for all of you who have watched and listened and called us and left messages and sent, messages of encouragement. We appreciate it. Obviously, this wouldn't be possible without everybody. Yeah, without everyone, without the sponsors, without the people that are listening and watching and showing that they care about this. So I want to thank you for that as well. And I know Chris does. And we're looking forward to this new year and what that looks like.
Yep, and hopefully I've got one down by the time this airs. If not, I will keep on my perseverance. Follow me on Facebook at Chris Brackett's Land Life, and all those links are on BrackettShow.com. And hopefully I have a big old fat one to take to Cantrell Taxidermy in Springfield, Illinois. So
yeah,
maybe we'll have a. I don't know. Maybe we'll have some stuff as we get into this winter where we sit down. You've always wanted to do stuff with whiteboards and food plots and strategy, and maybe we'll have some strategy sessions that we'll find some funding for that with some of our partners, and we'll do some sit downs and maybe change it up and yeah. So don't be scared to call into the landline and continue to communicate with us. That's 309-761-5263, 309-761-LAND. And till 2025, I'm Chris Brackett.
And I'm Chris Zobac.
And we will see you next year. All right, everybody, it's the Brackett Show, episode 25.